Don Sweeney, I guess, has an issue with those Jim Montgomery comments, which has us wondering how much longer Monty's going to be around for. Here's what Sweeney said the other day.
Don uses the phrase, check a lot of boxes. Players being forefront, day one free agency. How impactful do you feel this is on the make-up styles, those who didn't have any?
I mean, I don't think it's a direct reference to what we didn't have. Obviously, Florida's a good team. They're congratulated to win the Stanley Cup. Do I think, as I go back and say, do I think we should have gotten to a Game 7 and see what happens? Yeah, I do. I think we left it on the table in Games 4 and 6. I'm hopeful that these two players, tip that scale in our direction moving forward because of the identification as I referenced. Elias has been in those top spots. I can't tell you whether or not he would have done a better job against Barkov than Charlie. I just think when we were looking for that extra play and that extra goal that we would describe to get us over the edge, Game 7 in Stanley Cup Finals went to 2-1. So that might be the one single pushback I have on Monty in his comment that, yeah, you can win 2-1 in those situations. You probably have to more often than not. The margins are small. You look at the last three games of our series against Florida, it wasn't runaway hockey.
Okay, so stuff it, Monty, is what I would say there.
The margins are small.
We didn't have enough to win a game 2-1. How about Game 7?
Small.
Of the Stanley Cup Finals. That was a 2-1 game. You can't win that one. That's not how you can win games. What are you talking about, Monty? So the two of them are, I don't want to say sniping at one another.
There's a little friction. There's a name check.
Right. Monty's saying, yeah.
There's a
small
amount of friction. For sure.
I would agree. It's not big. It's
small.
Yeah, small is one way to put it. So I would say that Montgomery goes at Sweeney a little bit, not by name. Sweeney goes back at Monty by name.
Yep.
And so, all right, is Montgomery in the last year of his deal? He is, right? I think he's Ryan just said, I think so.
Is that a big deal or is it
a small deal? Yes. It's no different than Cora, right? I mean, we can debate if Montgomery is as good at his job as Cora is at his, but it's a lame duck coach, I believe.
Yes. And so, first of all, I don't think that he disagrees with Montgomery because he went out and improved the roster. At least, hopefully, on paper, he did. He went out and got guys who he said, these guys are going to help us in that way.
Well, but the profile of those guys is a top 4D and a two-way guy.
He's not quoting in good faith.
Yeah.
Of course, some games you're going to have to win 2-1. What Monty said was you can't win every game 2-1 in the playoffs. Like, you can't survive that way. And so I agree more with Monty. I think it's just like a little, I don't know, a little sensitivity from higher up. And if you listen to Montgomery in that session after the loss, I mean, he sounds discombobulated. So it makes me wonder more if there's more dissent behind the scenes.
My head's all spinning right now.
Exactly. If there's more behind the scenes of there was grumbling throughout the season, there was grumbling at the trade deadline going, yeah, we don't have enough. What do you want from us? You want us to go Game 7 with this crew? I think they should have gone Game 7, but we're sitting here on the radio. We're not the ones who are picking the team out.
Do you think if they lost to Toronto, Monty was gone?
Yes.
Me too.
Absolutely.
And so, where do we think the friction comes from?
I think it's a narrow margin for him.
Yeah, agreed. It should be. It's the NHL. It should be. I'm sorry, you can't keep getting knocked out in the first and second round and just keep your job forever. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all in that sport. Guys win cups and aren't brought back, right? Washington did that with Barry Trotz. So, and some of that was haggling over what they're going to pay him and everything else. But, guys win Stanley Cups and don't come back. Bruce Cassidy goes to a cup, and a couple of years later he's out. And then, coincidentally, wins a cup in year one with Vegas. So, no, it's the NHL. You churn through coaches left and right. And so that's a backstory to the whole thing, too. All I would say is the players they added aren't exactly snipers. I mean, Elias Lindholm at his best was over a point per game guy.
Snipers.
Not snipers. They are not. Over a point per game guy at his very, very peak. But largely he's 20, 25 goals, 55, 60 points. That's largely what he is. He's a two-way guy, a defensive guy. Same thing with Zadorov. Obviously he's not bringing a lot of offense to the table. So Sweeney in some ways is doubling down on winning those games 2-1.
Yeah,
3-2.
I don't think the style is going to change dramatically. So I think the pressure is more on Montgomery to produce with it, and now we know that the margin is
small.
It is quite small. There's no doubt about it.
This is the 24-25 season, the last season on Jim Montgomery's contract.
It is. Thank you. So what are the wait, say that again? 24-25 season is the last season, right?
Yes.
Thank you. I
So
thought you
it was
said
a 3-year contract that he signed.
got it. So lame duck coach as of right now. And I don't sense, based on the sniping there, I don't sense an extension.
I just think it's interesting. Like, this is what Don Sweeney is willing to say in public. Like, what do you think he's saying behind the scenes? Like, oh, okay.
Saying this shocks.
Like, okay, fine. You don't think that you can do this 2-1? All right, I will give you some guys. I will invest in this team, even though we really don't have a lot of resources to pull into it right now. But if you don't get it done here, then what am I supposed to do with you?
Yeah, sorry about it. So anyway, that's Don Sweeney and Jim Montgomery. How long is Monty going to be here? You can jump